All right. I think we are live.
Live.
I'm going into my YouTube channel to see. Are we coming on? You know how there's always that lovely delay. Okay, it says waiting. Why is it saying that? I don't think I'm linked to my YouTube.
It says you're live. Let me check on my end.
It does say that I'm live. If there's anybody
Oh, no.
there, put it in the chat.
Yes, we're up. We're up for sure on your channel. I just checked.
We are. Okay. All right. Cool. So, welcome. Thanks for joining us either live or on the replay squad. I have the amazing and beautiful Lisa Papez with us. You may know her from her more business name, The Supportive Tarot. But here she is. And would you like to introduce yourself, or do you want me to gush and fangirl all over?
Oh goodness. Well, we don't need to gush, but my name's Lisa Papez. I'm actually terrible at introducing myself. I talk about tarot on my YouTube channel. I'm writing a book, making a deck. I do readings for people. Yeah, I'm terrible at this.
Okay. Well, I'm going to run a banner up here with her website so you can track her down there. And we will be talking about it later, but she is in the process of creating a deck about a unicorn, Misty the unicorn. And you should definitely sign up for her newsletter to get the progress on that. It's just super fun. You get to watch the creative process in action, and the creative process is really the essence of play. So it's a wonder if you're interested in this topic, that's a fabulous place to be. So I'm just going to leave this up here for a little while. If you go over there, you come right back. You hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't leave us. Stay here with us.
All right. So I am an educator, and so my approach to play is to be very much involved with how play ties into learning. And in this venue, words, as Lisa says, words, this area.
Where are they? They're here somewhere.
Come to me. So play with tarot, it seems to come in, or my experience, there's probably more, I don't know everything, is both with learning the tarot as well as taking a playful approach to learning the lessons that you get when you're reading the tarot. So Lisa and her partner Peggy developed this super fun game, role-playing the tarot.
Yeah.
Which was a wonderful way to learn about the tarot. It was role playing. So I never really understood how that came to play, or how did you guys come up with that? Not that you're guys. How did y'all?
It was totally Peggy's brainchild. I don't remember what started it. She's in the chat. Hi, honey. So she can maybe tell us if she remembers how it came up. But no, that was like, I don't know. She was literally just sitting around one day and was like, hey, this would be a really cool thing to do. I'm sure it had something to do, probably springboarding off of talking with one of our kids about role play or something. But yeah, it was this idea of like, what if you could play as a court card, like play in a role playing sense as a court card in a like sort of not live action, like as in person necessarily, but like in a simplified version of a D&D style game. Like, what would that look like? And it was so fun. It was so fun. We tested it behind the scenes in the channel membership and then did 1 or 2 public games, I think. And it was just a lot of fun for people to get into the character of a court card. I am super I get really worked up about bringing the court cards specifically to life because I think they're the cards that sometimes are the most challenging to learn. So yeah, that's what I thought that was the coolest part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I think, Sunny, I see you in the chat. Yeah, there you are. And she played with us, and you can testify to, you really learn a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there was so much going on.
Just finding ways to play with the tarot is a wonderful way to learn it. And there was another game that I learned from you, Lisa, one of your videos. I'm not sure. I don't know
Queens
if it was
of Fate?
your game. Pardon?
Was it Queens of Fate, the solitaire game?
Yes.
Queens of
Yeah.
Fate. Yeah. I can't remember where I found out about that from. And I was like obsessed with playing like solitaire style games with my tarot.
And it really helps, right?
Yeah. Even just like, I feel like just looking at the cards repetitively like that can help you to get familiar with the imagery, to help you get familiar with the cards. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a helpful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing more and more D&D style decks coming out. Like do I have it with me? No, I think it put it someplace else because I was so disappointed. So there's a D&D tarot mass market one that came out maybe a year and a half ago. I'm not able to use it actually. Hi, Barb, either for D&D or for tarot. But it's a cool idea, right?
Not executed the way that you probably needed it to be executed.
Yeah, although obviously it's out there in the world and it got picked up, so other people are using it. So that kind of thing is happening. And now I see an independent one came up with really vibrant colors. So I'm probably going to pick that one up and have a look at it because, you know, we like to play with all the things.
Yeah, and I'm also noticing a more playful approach to even just tarot deck creation lately. Like we're seeing a lot of like fandom things. We're seeing a lot of decks coming out with more playful themes in general. I feel like that's definitely been, I wouldn't call it like necessarily a trend, just that's I think where tarot is sort of expanding to involve and in the deck creation process to involve more of these like playful themes or lighthearted themes. Because for a long time, I think tarot had this and I don't think this is bad, but I think for a long time, tarot was seen as so sacred or so spiritual that there wasn't room for as much of that exploration, play, experimentation that I think there is now. I think there's a wide enough audience and a wide enough space there for it that we're starting to see more of that now.
Yeah, I even recently, I feel like it's just become more inclusive, bigger and more inclusive. Like within the last 2 years, maybe? I don't know. I could be. You probably have a better historical sense than I do.
But when it like kind of blew up, I think we're talking since about 2015, I would say is when it really started to like go nuts. And I think really 2018 were big spikes in interest in tarot from a more mainstream perspective for sure. And now it's just steaming right ahead.
Yeah, I think COVID has been very, very good to tarot.
Yeah. Well, we want things we can do and like more solitary activities. And I think too, the other thing about COVID and people working from home more and like, or just being at home more is I think it created space for more of that introspective work. We're kind of all forced to be hermits, you know?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, exactly. We had the space for it. I agree. Well, that's a nice segue into the next thing I wanted to talk to you, which is playful decks.
Yeah.
So what kind of decks do you feel are playful or that you feel are easy to play with?
Oh, okay. So those are couple different categories.
Yeah, they are.
So one good example, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on anything you have planned to talk about, but one good example of a deck that I think is really fun to play with, that I literally only so far have used to play with, is the Villains Tarot. This is the Disney Villains. So I totally snarked this idea from Dawn Michelle, but she and I both play Disney Dreamlight. Wait, you play Disney Dreamlight Valley too?
Okay. I do, and I would like to talk about that a little today, but go ahead with this.
Okay, so I use this in conjunction with that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a deck that I play with while I'm playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. So that's a thing that I play with. But I would say like in general, playful decks for me are decks that sort of tug at my inner child a bit. And that can be a pretty wide range of decks. Like, of course, I have a giant pile here. I'm not going to do that to you. But like, I have a lot of things here.
Oh, Lisa, all of us fangirls out here, that's part of why we love you, is your big piles of decks.
Oh, good. Okay.
We're here for it.
Well, I would say I actually dug back out of Purgatory, my Happy Tarot. I don't think I can let this go. I think this is one of those decks that if I I was going to let it go. I put it in Purgatory, but it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but it's like a Candyland
I
version.
adore this deck. It's absolutely one of my faves.
I don't know why. I think because when I do more serious inner child work, which I know we're going to be chatting about, I tend to reach for the Playful Heart Tarot, which I also have here. But this is it's just a me Rider-Waite-Smith clone, you know? And I was like, I can't let it go. I think what convinced me is I realized that if this went out of print, I would be sad if I didn't have it. And there's some decks that I let go of a long time ago that I'm still trying to get back, like the Whimsical Tarot. Do you remember that?
No, I never heard that.
Oh, the Whimsical Tarot came out, I think it was early 2000s. I thought it was earlier than that, but and I must have gotten it within the first couple of years of my sort of break from tarot, because like within the, like just before that happened, because it got cold. I did a bit of a I had a collection, and then I went through this like tarot break, and I got rid of a bunch of things, kept just like my most beloved decks, which was like at the time like maybe about half a dozen. Everything else went. And then when I came kind of back to tarot as more of a regular practice, I was like, I miss these. And the Whimsical Tarot is out of print now, but it is a fairy tale themed tarot. It's really sweet. It's got gigantic, obnoxious borders, but the borders kind of tie into the artwork, so it's not like big white borders or something. Oh my gosh. It's so cute. It's so sweet. But so now I'm thinking, what if that happened with the Happy Tarot? If it went out of print, I could see myself in like 5 years being like, why did I get rid of that?
I know. And legit, how much space does that take?
Not like it's so little, and it has its own little matching bag,
right.
and like
I'm sorry, Peggy, but
listen, she said, as long as I have wall space, I can continue to hang decks on the wall. So I told her I'm going to start going into the hall, and she can just cope. It's going to be fine.
Now we got the receipt here.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. It's been said. The gauntlet has been tossed. But for me, playful decks just in general are like, they tend to have more whimsical artwork. They tend to be more cartoonish, maybe like colorful for sure. I don't think I have any decks that I would consider playful that fall into that black and white, or like, you know what I mean? Like for me, play is all about color and vividness and sparkles and shiny and yeah. So when it comes to just generally playful, or it has a storybook feel. If it has a storybook vibe, like the Tarot Renard, which yeah, it's got that sort of sweet, like as if you're looking through a picture book kind of vibe to it. Like it's so, like, doesn't this look like it could be a children's book?
Absolutely.
I love this style. So yeah, this kind of thing also to me feels very playful. But as far as the decks that I feel like I could play with, other than the very specific example of the Disney Villains Tarot, I'm okay with playing with pretty much any one of my decks. If it comes to like doing some kind of solitaire thing, or I don't know, just literally like throwing cards for fun, I could do that with any of my decks. I can't think of any that I would like specifically exclude from something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you though?
Oh, anything that is soft and pastel. I mean, I was a real Barbie girl. Like I had a canopy bed and all that business. So if I need that kind of nurturing self-care energy, I'm going for something pastel. Like I just picked up it's over there, so I can't reach it. The squid cake.
The squid cake Marseille. Oh, yes. It's so cute.
That's the palette that gets me in the feels.
Do you have this one? This is the pastel unicorn.
I know I should get it right.
This is totally that color palette. My lights are washing it out, but it's very like pink and purple and light teal and mint. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Barb, you jealous? It's not too late. You can still get a canopy bed.
Right, get a canopy bed. You can totally. I wanted one of those growing up so bad though, so I feel the envy for sure.
Well, I want to get back to your decks, but we are going to take a side quest out here to the side, because we have somebody else that's enjoying the Disney Villains and playing Disney Dreamlight Valley. Now, I don't want to do any spoilers here. I'm pretty deep into the new update.
Oh, I just started it.
Okay, so I'm not going to divulge too much, but all along I was feeling like, oh, we're doing inner child work here. We are definitely doing inner child work.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, they are pulling off the mask. They're going in. There's nothing subtle now.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, yeah, it's really good. But so let's talk about how we use our decks while we're playing video games like Disney Dreamlight Valley. So, Lisa, why don't you start? Jennifer, pop something into the chat. I'd like
Yeah,
to
let us know what
know
you do too.
what you do, and then I'll say what I do.
So my main thing is I'm pretty basic with this kind of thing, but my main thing is that I will shuffle when I'm getting ready to go play. I'll shuffle and I might pull 1, 2, or 3 cards just to kind of figure out what I'm going to work on next, because Dreamlight Valley is sort of this sandbox style game. Like you could farm, you could go work on quests, you could do whatever. So if a character comes up, then I might go check and see if I have quests with that character. If a card comes up and no characters jump out at me, then I might look at what that card is and what it means and choose an activity based on that card. So like the 5 of Cups, I might take something like this and go, okay, I'm going to go fishing. Like it's very not serious, right? Like sometimes I use the imagery. Sometimes I use what the card makes me think of. Like if I pulled something like this, I might be like, oh, maybe I should go check on my storage chest and organize those. Or like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
This is so fun for that. And I want this exact same thing in this exact same card stock from Inside Editions. I want them to do it because they did this fine. And I want them to do this for Disney, like Heroes and Princesses or something like that, so that we get the good guys too. I want a good guys version of this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they haven't done it yet. What's going on over there? Like, this has to be doing well for them, I feel like. So, like, they need to get on it. They need to get on it.
Yeah. Hello, Game Loft, Inside Editions.
Yep. But why? Can I just complain for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why octopus arms for the 7 of Cups and not the 8 of Cups? Why? Why?
I do not have the answer for that.
Shakes fists. Shakes fists. I don't understand. I want that to line up, just because I mean it's octo. It's 8.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? How do you use your Disney villains with your Disney Dreamlight Valley?
Well, I do exactly what you do. You know, I just do the you said basic, and it is basic. But
I love it.
Because this game, I mean, I walked away from the game and really like thought about stuff, like got into it, like, okay, why do I do these things? Where is that coming from? And when I go in that direction, then I really pull cards to gain insight into my personal development and why I have the responses that I do to different storylines.
Interesting. Oh, I love that.
Like, yeah, this is not a spoiler. So Mother Gothel, I think I'm saying her name right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, she's like a textbook narcissist, right?
Oh, she's the worst.
And I've had narcissists in my life. So sometimes I pull cards. It's like, okay, so when a narcissist comes at me like this, how am I feeling? I'll ask questions. And then because you have those multiple choice answers, then sometimes I get, I'll use, oh God, Mother knows best. I'll use the cards to help me experiment with how I might respond. Because when it's not a game, you're in pure survival mode.
Yeah.
So you do what you got to do, especially as a child.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this game and playing with cards at the same time gives me a chance to kind of explore this in a very low stakes way.
Yeah, like it's not as confrontational as it would be in another context.
Right. Like I couldn't say to certain family members, hey,
yeah,
you know, I want to eat dinner. I'm a kid.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's an interesting concept. I find myself actually, it's funny you brought up Mother Gothel because I totally avoid her in Disney Dreamlight Valley. Like I've done the minimum quests with her that I've had to do, and she's running around talking to me as I'm like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you. I literally have such an issue with her. But it's funny because that's an interesting thing to think about and to unpack to see what this stuff brings up, and then to respond maybe the way you wished you would have. Or there's some interesting things you can dip into with things like that, especially in games that allow you to role play in minor ways like that don't go so deep that it's like triggering, but like poke at things a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because the game doesn't let you do that. Thank goodness.
No. Yeah.
but it does let you poke in a way. You can be sassy with her.
Yeah. I like a little bit of sass. That's good. Yeah, that's interesting. So like if you were doing a quest line with her and she said something and you've got that option to respond, you might pause there and literally pull cards in that moment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm playing with my lights a little bit because I was using natural light and now it's going away. Is that okay?
Yeah, looks fine.
Okay. All right. We have the most awful air. Oh my God.
Oh, you're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We're good now though.
Canada was on fire. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Canada. Okay. So here's Jennifer is now popping in to say, I pull cards to help decide quests. And then the game is nothing fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. I really enjoy, like I always have a deck or two out next to where I play games so that I have a deck at hand for decision making, or like I have a real hard time sometimes with sandbox style games because I almost get overwhelmed by how many things there are I could be doing.
Right.
And that can actually have me putting games away that I otherwise enjoy because I have like, what's that word? Like, decision overwhelm or whatever, where like I open the game and I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta plant stuff, or do I want to make money, or do I want to quest, or like what should I be working on, and oh I feel behind, and like so having a deck to just like whip out and like be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do and it's okay, and I'll do everything else later. I really like that, and I've done it in other games too. And in fact, I ended up buying that Heavenly Blooms Tarot by US Games, because when I visited Dawn in Portland, she had that deck and she's like, this is my Final Fantasy deck. And I played.
Great. Now I have to write something down. Heavenly Blooms. I'll put it in the chat and I can find it later.
It looks exactly like the kind of art style, at least to me it does. And obviously to Dawn, she's the one that told me about it, but it looks like the kind of art style you see in Final Fantasy 14 online, or like in other sort of online role-playing games. Like it definitely has that vibe about it for sure. And it also would remind me of like what World of Warcraft would look like if it was like prettier and shinier, but like same kind of quality. So I'm like, great, next time I play Final Fantasy, I'm going to pull out my Heavenly Blooms and do that. And because that's another sandbox style game where I don't always know what I want to do or work on. Do I want to quest? Do I want to farm? Do I want to go get stuff? Work on outfits? Like, what do I want to do? So I love those kinds of games because they're low pressure until I get in and try to figure out what I want to do. Then it's suddenly high pressure. I'm really susceptible to that kind of thing for sure.
I'd love to play games with you.
We should like stream a game or something sometime. I don't know what we can co-op play.
Well,
we should find something.
Hi, Tony. You must be up in the middle of the night. She's over in the UK.
Oh my goodness. It's really late.
Nice to see you. And happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Happy birthday.
We should do Citadel. You have it. I have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Jennifer said she's got it. I think enough people have picked it up now that we could run a game.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be really fun.
So, yeah, one more thing and then we'll get back on track. But this was a fun sidebar.
There's no needed track. We're good.
So I have a D&D campaign that I'm in, and I never remember what they call it. Haragon. I'm a rabbit. I'm a wabbit.
Oh, cute.
So I bring the Sage Rabbit Tarot and I pull it when I'm not sure what I want to do. And I pulled the Three of Swords in the middle of a campaign like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, I'm going to go in and stab this guy in the heart.
I love that so much.
Everybody looked at me like, I'm sorry, who are you?
What is happening?
What did you do with Linda? I'm like, but the cards told me to.
I love that, because that's the other thing. If you, for me, role playing is still somewhat intimidating in a way. And so having something to sort of direct action or give you ideas, or like what, especially if you kind of draw cards around what your character would do, it can help you get into, I feel like, a little bit more of that role. Yeah, that would be fun.
Let me just ask the chat, is our sound okay? I'm getting a lag, but hopefully we're okay. So let me know if there's anything. Um, all right. So let's get back on track, sort of. So we were talking about what kind of decks you like, what we were calling playful decks. And I had kind of come up with two categories, one that was more childlike and one that was just like that you would playful or play with. And I feel like what you said, if I heard it right, was that you feel like you could just play with almost any deck.
Yeah, I think so. There might be like a few that feel kind of serious that I might not like. Decks like the Victorian Romantic, which I really don't reach for much, to be honest, or my Corte de Tarocchi or Marseille, like more old-fashioned looking, like more traditional looking Marseille decks. Those kinds of decks I might not reach for play. But one of the things I used to enjoy when I was playing either Queens of Fate or Solitaire, which I learned from somebody else regularly, is I'll just grab any deck, because the fun thing about that is that grabbing any deck, especially a deck I haven't been reaching for lately for readings, it's like a way to just sit with that deck and like get familiar with the imagery. So I would pull anything for that sort of thing. But yeah, generally speaking, I would say I would play with almost any deck. Almost any deck.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's talk about your deck.
Oh, goodness.
Talk about Misty.
Okay.
So talk to us, if you don't mind, about the creative process and how you're able to stay playful and childlike, but not childish when you're doing this.
With the Unicorn's Journey Tarot, my goal was to, and please feel free to stop me at any point, because it's really hard for me to shut up once I get going. So just feel free to rein me in at any point. But with the Unicorn's Journey Tarot, there was a couple of things I really wanted to accomplish. I wanted to create a system and a deck that could be a tool for learning for people who were new to tarot, by creating relatable character in the form of our main character Mystic, in the form of court cards that start to become a part of the story itself throughout their numbered minor arcana cards. I wanted the deck to feel like a real live world that you could sort of sink yourself into, because that's something that I personally appreciate in other decks, is when they take me to their world. So I really, really, really wanted to accomplish that. And then I also really wanted to accomplish the goal of telling a story about somebody who is floundering and doesn't really know who they are, has to find themselves, and then after they find themselves, has to learn how to navigate in the world as themselves. And so Mystic goes through the major arcana finding themselves, and then through each suit of the minor arcana has to now learn how to be in the world in an authentic way, and like look after themselves, and like learn how to, so every single card has a self-worth theme or self-care theme. And my majors are kind of loosely inspired by The Ugly Duckling, which was a really important story to me growing up. So there's a lot of stuff there that's in there. But as far as keeping it light, I can't say I'm trying too hard. Like on one hand, it's like I'm playing in the process. Like there's something intensely magical about having a character or a set of characters, having this vibrant world that's been living in my head, and then working with an artist and being like, this is what I want the card to look like based on what I've been holding in my head. And then to have that come to life it's an indescribable feeling. I can barely talk about it without bursting into tears, because it's like this came from my heart, and then to have it show up in a way that I can look at it, like not just have it be inside my brain, it's incredible. It's incredible. So for me, it's like this is like I'm trying to tell everyone's story in a way. I mean, obviously there's no way to tell everyone's story, but to have one piece of the story be relatable to as many people as I can. That journey of that we all struggle with, to sort of find our way amidst all the noise of life and the pressure of life and the societal stuff and the childhood stuff, and just to try to find our path is such a complicated, difficult thing. And I just wanted as many people as possible to sort of feel seen in that journey. And I think I don't even know if I answered your question, because I started talking and then I lost track. But
yeah, no, it's all good. It's really all good. Because before we came online, I was saying to Lisa that part of being playful is letting go of having an end result that you need to see. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's what's happening with this conversation. We're just
Yeah.
having fun and playing with it. So it's fine, whatever direction it goes into, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
And I will respond to what you said, because you were saying something about oh, it's so hard to remember exact words. So I'm paraphrasing, and you can slap me if I go
Paraphrase.
off too far. But you said something about uh, finding out about herself and learning how to live an authentic life through the different suits. That's her journey. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's all of our journeys, right?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
So then when
trying to
you
figure
came
that out.
around to that, it was like perfect.
Oh,
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned something too that caught my attention, and the concept of staying childlike or being in a childlike space without being childish. I think that's really an interesting distinction, because I spent a lot of time feeling as though by embracing my own or sort of rediscovering, reparenting myself, I guess, in a way, but sort of letting my inner child have space in my life, like have visible space in my life, especially on YouTube or on like in such a public way, really embracing that side of myself. There has been the downside of that is sometimes childlike or play can get sort of boxed into this category of childish, and there are they're very different concepts, right? And I think they can be like a Venn diagram, so they can overlap for sure. But typically when I'm getting into like a childlike space, to me, it's like you're taking off all of these layers that life and society has put on you. So it's almost like you've gone through life, and every year you age, somebody puts another jacket on top of you. And so by the time you're a freaking adult, or like, let alone like when you get into sort of your middle age years, you're weighing down, you're weighed down by like hundreds of these like jackets that life has put on you. And to
Right.
me, I feel like getting into a childlike, playful space is like deciding I'm going to take all this shit off. Like, sorry, I don't know if I should swear on your channel, but like
You
I
don't
should
have
take,
to.
okay, good.
I,
I should take all of these extra jackets off and just be in the world as myself and be intentionally vulnerable as a way to express my own personal power. That's sort of what I feel like embracing play and childlike um, sort of things and activities is for me. It's like, no, I'm going to strip all this stuff off and be the purest part of myself for a while. And yeah, that's to me, that's what it's about.
yeah, I like that phrase you used, intentionally vulnerable.
Yep.
So, because I think for those of us who are older, when we do that, you have to get into that mindset. And you also have to be aware that not everyone who observes you is going to know the difference between childish and childlike. And
Yeah.
you can't let other people's reaction dampen your passion for fun and play, because it's
Mm-hmm.
just not about them. I'm so privileged in my life. I have a park right down at the end of my block, and there's a nice playground. And I was walking one day. There was a teenager. She was all by herself. She was on the swings, and she was just feeling free. And it made my heart sing to see her. But I thought, some grouchy person could come by and say, "Why is that kid on the swings acting like a kid?" So I just thought it it takes courage.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that, because for me growing up, literally, I don't know that I would have gotten through some of the things I got through without a swing set. And I'm not joking. Like, to me, getting away from my household and going to a swing set by myself and swinging and singing or whatever, like that was literally my purest form of escape. And I think there was something about getting on that swing set, and I did this right until I was like 18, 19 years old, and then still did it as an adult after that. And I think the thing about that was that became some kind of safe space. And the funny thing about you mentioning this now is that I don't think, even until this moment, it ever really occurred to me that other people might have an opinion about that. Because I mean, there's plenty of things I do that are childlike that I feel like other people have opinions about. I've heard it, like, but for some reason, the swing set thing always felt like this just pure coping, me healing sort of thing that I don't think it ever even crossed my mind all the years that I did that somebody like somebody might walk by and go, why is that like 17-year-old on the swing set? It never even occurred to me.
Good.
And there's plenty of things, which is great, but it's kind of funny. It's like, gosh, I feel like we need more adult swing sets. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I was, I spent the better part of today judging piano performances, and these kids, they come in, like the little kids, they come in with practically pretty princess outfits on. And they're
Yeah.
just like, they, they are all over it. And that's the kind of childlike pleasure and play that I think we are trying to get in touch with. And
Yeah.
maybe it's okay at 65 to put on a tulle skirt and go down the street. I don't know.
Hell yeah. I
Right?
think it's awesome. I still remember there was this time when I was trying to figure out where my playful self fit in with everything else in my life. And I was still like kind of embarrassed about it, but also kind of like feeling really rebellious about doing it anyway. And I remember being at like a Denny's after going out to a bar. And I don't know why. I had this like onesie pajama set that was really cute. It was like a teddy bear, like looking outfit kind of thing. And so my friends and I had gone out partying. We were out really late. And I had brought this to change into for after, and then we went to Denny's for breakfast. So I am sitting in a Denny's in this teddy bear like onesie. I might be getting the animal wrong, but it was something like that, something fuzzy and whatever. And I still remember, and I don't know what got into me, but I was like getting up and going to the bathroom or something, and there was like a group of like young guys at like a table, and they were kind of snickering. And I stopped my sassy butt, and I like put my hands on my hips in this teddy bear onesie, and I was like, "What are you laughing at?" And they're like, hello? But I was so proud of myself for confronting this little group of teen. And the funny thing is, of course, they were laughing. Like, it was a ridiculous outfit, but like, I felt so empowered for the fact that I just like told off this group of like young guys because I was wearing this teddy bear onesie. It was the best moment ever, and like mildly embarrassing, but like in a fun way. It's like I stood up for myself in that teddy bear onesie. Like I was not going to let anybody pick on me. I was over it. So yeah, there's
Awesome.
something really revolutionary, I think, about giving yourself permission to not be so buttoned up all the time if that feels good for you. And I think that's the caveat, right? For some people it won't feel good. But if it feels good for you to do that or to be in that space, then yeah, I think we need to normalize that and enjoy the empowerment of it, because it can be pretty powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Go into my notes here.
Oh my God, Claire, I don't push kids off, but I wait until later. The swing set's busy. That's amazing. I love that.
Yes, good. And Tony pointed out that she used drawing as her safe,
I
creative
saw you put that up.
way.
Yeah, there's so many like cool like activities. Why am I blurring? There's so many
Yeah, you
things
got
you can
blurry.
do to escapism, right? Like I would write, I would draw, I would color. But if I can get away, that's where I headed with the swing set.
Yeah. And Tony still is doing some amazing artwork with her tarot journaling and stuff on her channel.
Ooh,
So if
I
y'all
love that.
haven't taken a look at Tony's YouTube channel, she's got some fun stuff up there. And she
Ooh.
gets things that we don't see. She has this subscription box that I kind of crave, so I have to live
Ooh.
vicariously.
Subscription boxes are an entire category of play, in my opinion. And blind bags and things like that. Blind bag toys. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they're fun. They're fun. I make my own. Speaking of playful, because
What?
July is coming up. So in July, y'all might want to join me. I was thinking about making a video about this. In July, I make myself a Christmas box.
What?
And I am a kind of goofball who will be surprised.
That's me. I have like the worst memory. I would definitely forget. I want to hear about this.
So usually I go around and I collect like little cosmetic things that I purchased and didn't actually use. I try to do it with stuff in my house.
Yeah.
And this year I'm going to put a deck away and not use
Yeah.
it. See if I can surprise myself with that.
That's awesome. And then you
So,
like open it at Christmas?
oh, I fully wrap it.
I love this so much.
I got myself a Mother's Day gift this year because, oh, this has turned into a therapy hour.
It's all
But I
right.
got myself a Mother's Day gift this year because my daughter got married in the month of May. And I was like, there is zero chance that's going to be on her radar.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
So, yeah. And I
That's
surprised
awesome.
myself. And that was only like 2 months before Mother's Day. And I was like, what's in this box anyway?
What did I do for myself again? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
That's
No, but I wrote
awesome.
myself a note.
Oh, I love that. That's
I
so
said,
beautiful.
thank you for all the effort you put into being a good parent. It hasn't always been easy, so good on you. Enjoy.
That's amazing. That is such a powerful like self-care activity to do. Like to look after yourself in that way and especially to write a note. I feel like that's like the coolest part about it.
All right, so then I'm definitely do a video in July and
Yeah.
teach y'all how to do a self-care Christmas in July box that you will
Yes.
forget about. Surprise yourself.
I totally want to do that. I love that idea.
It's fun. You probably would come up with some great stuff.
I bet I could.
So, okay, so I did want to go back in and touch on the idea of how being playful when you're reading tarot or any card, right? We say tarot, but I really mean tarot, oracle, playing cards,
Yeah.
whatever it is you pick up.
Yeah.
How that requires you to not be tied into having a definite result. Even if you're using a spread, it may go off the rails on you if you stay open to what the cards are suggesting and listening to yourself and your heart and whatever's coming into you from whatever you call it. And that you have to be willing to make mistakes, right?
Oh, that is huge. If you want to connect with that vulnerable inner part of yourself, whether you refer to that as your inner child or not, but if you want to connect with that, the giving yourself permission to be messy and to make mistakes and to be non-linear, I think is really helpful. I think it's really helpful.
Yes, I was hoping that you, with all of your experience and like with the member readings, the way you just like go, 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 go with that, that's that's like pure play.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could like maybe give us some tips
Tips.
and
I think for me, when I was first learning to read tarot, I found that I didn't fully trust my own voice, my own intuition very much. I was really hung up on what the right answer is. And so I really struggled with that. And I made myself, I sort of intentionally created a process for myself when I was learning that I would have to take the safety net away so that I wouldn't be able to rely so heavily on what the book said or what the tarot is supposed to mean and would have to just go with what felt right and sounded right in the moment. And so way back when I was first really learning and really reading for others, that's what I made myself do. And I did that for myself by literally I threw away the book that went with the deck, the single deck that I was using. I threw it in the garbage. This was a long time ago. And it was a really empowering experience for me that helped me unlock, I think, in a lot of ways, my intuition and get out of my own way. So it became my most favorite way to read. And I find that it's actually easier in fast, quick fire style readings. So, like if you're reading for friends at a party, for example, and you're capping the readings at like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes each, max, 15 minutes max each. Or I used to do tarot and tea events and read for strangers. And same thing, I would limit the time to like 15 minutes, right? And when you're reading that fast, and I would throw a Celtic cross in 15 minutes. That's what I would
wow,
do because that's
a
my
lot.
favorite. That's my go-to spread. And so it became like breathing, right? Like I would just throw the cards, but because I had limited time and I had a lot I had on the table, I learned to say it quick. And I mean, it's not a surprise that I also talk fast and I type fast and like all this kind of stuff. I'm a fast Gemini E, I guess, kind of communicator. But I think the benefit in learning how to be quick was that it got me to stop overthinking everything. So when I'm doing those quick fire member readings, for example, or if even when I do regular booked client readings, I just let the words come out. And so yeah, there's an element of sort of consciously letting go of structure and consciously stepping into expansive, playful space with that. And trusting that even if you say something weird, it's going to be okay. Like, even if you say something strange. And I let myself off the hook. And this is the tip I would say. The thing you think, say it out loud. And if you're nervous to say it out loud because you're not sure it's going to make sense to the other person, or you're worried that it's going to sound off the wall or strange in any way, then just say that up front. That's what I do all the time. Hey, this may sound weird, but hey, I know this is a little out there. This is what I'm feeling. And just say it. Just say it and see what happens, because my readings are better when I do that. And I get the kind of feedback when I do that, that I've hit on really, really, really poignant stuff for people. And that I didn't get that feedback before I started doing that, right? It was like that trusting myself to say the first thing, even if, so I could pull, sometimes I'll pull the 5 of Swords and it feels like a great card in that moment. And I'll talk about it as a great card in that moment, if that's what I get from it. And I just own it. But I do a lot of disclaimering. I feel like that lets me relax into the process more by saying up front. I tend to talk, like in my client readings, I'll tell people, I say a lot of words, I say them quick. Don't be afraid to pause me if you need to. Like, if it's a lot, slow me down. I say that on my videos sometimes, but like, if I try too hard to contain that energy, then, and I can't just let it, I have to be able to let it fly free, I guess is the thing. I can't try too hard to chain it down, you know?
I do. I understand. And you feel like saying it out loud helps you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If I'm reading for myself, it's a completely different vibe. But if I'm reading for other people, and then for me, it's about not stopping the words or trying too hard to translate the words. I still do, but I try to do it as little as possible. I try to spit the message out the way that I feel it or think it.
That makes sense. And I can testify to anybody watching that I've had several readings from Lisa, and she really does that. She's like, okay, I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but it's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's always totally just like right on point. So I'm like, why is she saying that?
It's funny because it's more for me, I think, than it is for anybody else. It's like, if I say this might sound strange, I'm going to be less bashful about saying it, and then I'll say it. If I don't, disclaimer. So yeah, I think it's more for my own comfort so that I can get the words out, you know?
Okay. And you said you don't feel like you need to give yourself permission when you're reading for yourself?
When I'm reading for myself, I'm not saying it out loud, so it already is different. I usually explore my readings for myself if I'm going to dive into them by writing. And when I write, I try to write in a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I use for it that's gone completely out of my head, but like, I basically just write without editing myself or without trying to make it sound a certain way. And
Yeah,
so I'll
so
just
it's just
write.
free writing.
Free writing, that's the word. Yes.
Yeah.
I free write. And so that's how I will do it. I have the best experiences with that when I type rather than handwrite, but I love the process of handwriting. So when I have the luxury for it, when I have the opportunity to, I really love to free write about my readings. And I even keep a device literally by my bed. It's like a little word processor device. Have you ever seen one of these?
Cool. No.
This is actually a device that's from like the, I don't know, 90s or 2000s. I don't know. It's called an Alpha Smart. They're defunct, but you can find them on eBay and stuff. And it's battery operated, and it just has this little screen. You cannot backspace. I don't think you can. No, you can backspace on this one, but you can't do a lot of editing. It's just this little screen.
Perfect.
And I keep it on my bed for dream journaling, because if I have a dream, I type so much faster than I write, is the point. That's the punchline. So because I type so much faster than I write, if I need to get something out of me quick, I get frustrated if I'm trying to handwrite it, because I can type almost as fast as I can talk. So typing is my go-to. So for dream journaling, I keep that by the bed. So if it's like I have a dream, I can quickly pull it out and just da-da-da-da-da. So yeah, if I'm doing my own readings, it's usually that's my best ways to be able to type.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer's saying she used to have something like that. I'm just going to pop something up that Jennifer said, and I'm forgetting who it was that I see who has talked about this sometimes, that they, even when they're watching TV, maybe Dawn, I don't know.
It might be Dawn. Yeah, Dawn does this for sure.
Just sits there and looks at her cards. And
yep.
Yeah, that's lovely. because it's just open.
Well, and sometimes if you just sit down, you don't have an intention, you don't necessarily have a question, but you just lay out a group of cards, you might be surprised that you immediately know what it's telling you, right? It's a really neat way to do quick fire readings for yourself, is to just, usually I would lay down a group of like 6. Lay down a group of 6 and just see if anything pops out. And like, yeah, I often get really interesting, meaningful readings from that.
Yeah, that's good. So now I'm going to do yet another commercial for Lisa.
Oh.
So I took her intuitive reading. It's a self-paced online class. And I partnered up with somebody and we read for each other every week now for close to a year, I think.
Oh
we
my
do
God.
we do a week ahead intuitive reading for each other.
I love that so much.
Yeah, we're really having a good time, and it's very essence. It's playful. Like sometimes we get stuck on, we'll pick a spread and we'll get stuck on that. And then every once in a while it's just like, no, I'm just going to tell a story. And we tend to use Dixit cards a lot when we just want to like be, really out there. And it's just shocking to me how you can just get this very clear story.
Yep. It's funny because one of the most expanding, I don't know if that's the right word, freeing maybe, ways to read is to give yourself permission to read in a way that conflicts with the meaning of the card. Because I think that Danny reads this way too. Danny Mystic, she reads this way. If you pull a card, this is why I like working with, I keep interrupting myself, but this is why I like working with so many decks, because if you pull a card and the cards, even the tower, and something in that image tells you something that has nothing to do with the traditional meaning of the tower, but you run with it because it's grabbed your attention, there's something about it that feels right, and you speak to that those are some potent, powerful readings. When you can just sink into the imagery or into what's happening, how people are facing each other. I love looking at what's happening when it's why I like a minimum of 3 cards a lot of the times, is if you lay down 3 cards, and I learned this by studying Marseille actually, and you notice which direction people are facing, it tells you so much. Like you can really get into like, oh, everybody's facing the right, which for me would be very future focused, or like everybody's looking backwards, or these two are looking at each other, but this one's looking that way, or like there's so many cool things you can do just with paying attention to who's facing who. It's an incredible layer to work with, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And some of that also comes back from like Lenormand and other types of cartomancy, where you really play around with, what card is, if there's a tool on a card, for example, in Lenormand, if there's a book card, you can look at like what books in Lenormand are often like information that's kind of semi-secret. It's closed. It's not easily accessible, right? So if the book's closed, then the card on the spine side could be the thing that's being hidden. And the card on the pages side could be like how to get into that information. How do you open that up? Which just, it's mind-blowing when you think of ways to work with the cards that way. Oh, it's so fun. I love it.
Yeah. And it's really playful.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to paraphrase something that Claire put into the chat. So she says, I do that and match decks and read what the cards are saying to each other. It might not mean anything, but helps me learn card associations and flow. Flow is super important to being playful and creative. So yeah, let them talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's good. And Corey, just to respond to yours, well, happy Pride. And you're part of the intuitive tarot reading course. There's a separate Facebook group that you go into, and you're encouraged to practice with partners. So you know how it's just life. Sometimes you make a good match and it sticks. But there's always somebody who will, trade readings with you.
Yeah. I love that.
So I had said to myself, I want this to be about an hour. We're kind of closing in on the hour. So now I'll just open it up to chat. If anybody has anything they want to ask Lisa, just let us know.
Yeah, here's that.
And in the meantime, I will say happy Pride Month to everybody. There's so much going on in our area. I don't know what it's like around the country because I'm in a very liberal part of the world. That's why I ended up here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Where we are, it's mainly around August that we see everything starting to really happen. There's some things I think in July, but June it's actually kind of quiet. I think it's because our Pride Parade happens in August, so all of our main things seem to happen then. Even though I feel like in the States most of it's in June. I feel like most of it's in June in the States. But yeah, for
yeah.
some reason here in BC it's August, which is fun because that's Peggy and my anniversary month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That works out nicely.
Yeah, it does work out. I said, although ironically, the Pride Parade often happens on our anniversary, and we want to be able to go to that, but we also want to be able to plan like other events. Like if we wanted to go to Pride, I mean, like so it gets really busy and crowded here. It's nuts. The parades are like just packed with people, and I get claustrophobic. So I actually go to the parade very
Not
often.
a good combination then.
No, great combo. But you know what I really like is I love going to Pride events where they're very like kind of open. Like there used to be one that happened in Tacoma, Washington, and it was very like people would set out picnic blankets with their families, and it was just really sweet and like low key. I love those.
Yeah, low key was exactly what I was thinking when you started to
Yeah.
say that. That sounds good. That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
I'm afraid we're about to end.
Yeah, we're just wrapping up.
But you could catch it on replay. Lisa really opened up her heart and shared a lot of good stuff with us. If Lisa loves it when I put her on a spot like this.
You can do this. It's fine.
If you were going to suggest, like say somebody came to you and said, I really want to work with a deck that's going to foster a playful, creative spirit when I'm reading. Would you give them some guidelines or even a deck or two?
I would suggest, I think the first deck that comes to mind with that is Playful Heart. And I think now that's an indie deck. I think if I was picking mass market, I might even though I've rehomed mine, I might even recommend the Kawaii Tarot, the one in the blue box with all the crazy animals. Yeah, that one. I might recommend that one. And the reason I think of that one and Playful Heart as opposed to something like the Happy Tarot is because I feel like there's enough going on in the cards. One of the things about the Happy Tarot that I find limiting when it comes to sort of expanding playful energy or creativity is that it's very Rider-Waite-Smith. It feels, a lot of the cards feel very Rider-Waite-Smith clone-ish as opposed to really going their own direction. Whereas decks like this one, or like I said, even the Kawaii Tarot, or another deck that speaks to your sort of playful spirit. Like for some people, they might feel really playful with like just a colorful Marseille, or they might feel really playful with what to me would be a very serious deck. But I would say one that helps you get out of the box a little bit. And I would even go so far as to say, maybe if you're already familiar with tarot, to start with a tarot that takes you into that space. But if you're new to divination in general and you really want to get into that playful space, or if you're really experienced with tarot and can get boxed in by tarot, then I would say look for a deck that takes keywords and titles and numbers and stuff just right off the cards and work with that and try to work with it without a safety net. For example, like the Dixit cards or other cards. Yeah, you've got them handy. Oh, good. Because those have like no predefined meanings, right? The idea is that you're just looking at imagery and you're just seeing what they're telling you. Yeah. Which if you all in chat don't know, Dixit's a game, a story building game, I think it is, right?
I've never actually played the game.
Me either. But these cards are really great for just having imagery that just makes you think of stuff. And like it's amazing. And with Dixit, it's interesting because you can shop around and get different kinds of sets that have different kinds of artwork on them. I love that Wonky Bear. Or picking a tarot.
Yeah, like this heart under a glass dome that looks like it might be on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole world.
Right. It's like a whole thing. So I find like if you're trying to get into that space or you're trying to unlock it, working with something that sort of stretches your understand, like if you're going to work with a traditional tarot, then work with one whose imagery takes you a little bit away from the stereotypical imagery, a little bit, enough to like give you room to play. Or if you really want to just jump in the deep end, then yeah, absolutely. Get a deck that doesn't have any predefined meanings, has great imagery. You can find all kinds of decks that can do that for you that are either from games or You can even just assemble your own from just random pictures, like pieces of art that you find, and then just put something together.
Yeah, now that's really playful.
Yeah. Oh my God, Claire, I think the hardest thing for me is to verbalize what I see. Lisa, you talk a million miles. It's so funny because to me, this is like my normal, my normal speaking speed is just very fast. I have a lot of Gemini in my chart. Like I'm a Cancer sun sign, but I have a lot of Gemini air in my chart.
And this is what your partner had to say about it.
Yeah, Peggy's. I think she's talking about when I was mentioning my typing speed because I type faster than I talk. I think I type like 120 words a minute or something. It's insane.
Oh,
But like,
wow.
yeah. It was funny. I was on the phone with somebody doing some tech support, and he's like, "You need to slow down." I'm like, "This is literally just how I type. Like, it's just how my fingers work. Like, it's like with my voice. It's how I talk. It's so funny. I don't know how. I just do."
Well, we just love you just the way
Yeah.
you are, Lisa.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for making time to talk to me about this subject that's so close to my heart. And I really appreciate your insights and your generosity with the entire community and with me. It's just, it means a lot to all of us. So,
well, thank you for having me and for allowing me to have this space to just be myself and join you on here. This kind of thing is so fun, and I love connecting with you here. And man, you were amazing in role playing the tarot. Can I just say?
Oh, thanks. That's very sweet.
It was awesome. It was awesome. The highlight of it for me, for real.
It was a good game. Y'all can go find it on Lisa's channel. It's still up there someplace.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, Barb.
Thanks, Barb.
And happy summer, everybody. Get out there and have fun. Find your swing set or your coloring book or whatever it is, and take care of yourself.
Definitely.
Bye.
Bye.